Against my better judgment, I am going to do another month of Dragon Ball Z fights. Again, Dragon Ball Z, just the episodes, not what happened in Dragon Ball, not what happened in the manga, not what happened in GT, not what happened in the movies. Live action or cartoon. Unless I specify that I'm going to use one of those. Someone threw out Krillin versus Spider-Man. I already get, I guess, typographically assaulted, whatever you use the terminology for when someone types words. Assaulted from the Dragon Ball Z fans because apparently I don't have as much for Dragon Ball Z love as the people who think it's the greatest anime of all time. And it's not. So I'm gonna have Krillin. Krillin, the guy who, depending on how you describe him, he's either the guy with no nose or the guy with 6 nostrils on his head. He, of course, was Goku's best friend. Initially rival in the Dragon Ball era, became his essentially go-to guy and was kind of his best buddy. I always preferred bald Krillin to when Krillin had the really weird haircut. And he kind of fell into a weird location. He wasn't a Namek, so he couldn't absorb other characters and become much stronger. He didn't have a really bizarre look like Tien or Chaozu. He was kind of the guy who was Goku's friend who then got stuck with Gohan for a long time and then got ridiculously overpassed by everybody. And also, of course, is his death which led Goku to finally breaking the plateau and becoming his first Super Saiyan in the battle with Frieza. And then later on he ended up marrying one of the androids. He wasn't 16, because that was the one that was the green bald robot with the red anime hair. I think it would have been either 17 or 18. The one that was the blonde girl. That one that was the dude. So he did end up marrying an android who ironically was more powerful than he was. Because anime. So I have on one side. Very strong character, just got surpassed when everyone started going from, hundreds of thousands for a power level up to and including 1.5 billion. So he kind of got pushed to the side really quickly. On the other side, Spider-Man, whose fanboys also rake me over the coals because I do believe that Batman has a pretty good chance of defeating someone like Spider-Man. Predominantly because he's got the skill set, and he has proven that he can defeat enemies like Carnage, who he's defeated by kicking him. So if he can knock out Carnage and can do, some damage to someone like Venom, I'm going to say he's got enough skill set to actually defeat someone like Spider-Man. But here we go. Krillin versus Spider-Man. Here's the criteria. Intelligence, fighting ability, strength, speed, durability. This is, how well do you recover if you have superhuman regenerations, invulnerability, energy rejection, versatility, and X factor. That's mean 5 to 4. The person with 5 more than likely is going to win. Here we go. Intelligence. Spider-Man has been referred to as an overall tactical genius. I know people are going to say, but Krillin's a much smarter fighter. This has nothing to do with how well you are as a fighter. This has to do with your overall logic. This has to do with the sort of intelligence you have. This doesn't mean your tactics. This is how well you actually mentally work your way through a fight. This is your thought process. If you look at great fighters, there are also people who are smart. You don't rely just on your skill. You also rely on your intellect to figure out how to formulate a game plan quickly and how to defeat your opponent. Or you have the time to do prep, at which point you can have a much more detailed game plan as to how you defeat an opponent. Or neutralize their threat. Fighting ability. This is going to go to Krillin. Don't matter if Spider-Man has the weight of the spider or not, he hasn't spent decades training. Strength. I was trying to remember if I ever recall seeing Krillin have a true level of superhuman strength being shown in Dragon Ball Z proper. If I've seen him, throw things like a car or a tank, or punch somebody into a wall, into a building. And I know he did a lot of that with Energy Blast, but I don't recall him ever actually physically stopping an individual through something that made me think that he had a very high degree of superhuman strength. Well aware of the fact that in the manga, when it was Dragon Ball, he was pushing mountains. Not using that, using the cartoon as the proper. Spider-Man does have a level of superhuman strength. It's 25 ton to 75 ton depending on who's riding him. So it definitely has a level of superhuman strength. Speed. Spider-Man, great level of agility. Taking down a guy who can fly and create sonic booms while he's flying. So even if you look at Sonic Boom and that's the height of it, he is a Sonic level flyer. So you have guys with great agility on the ground versus the guy who flies. Durability. Spider-Man does have a healing factor. His body does produce a lower level of lactic acid, so as the fight progresses, he's not going to get tired. And his body is going to be regenerating a little bit at a cellular level we don't currently see from Krillin. Yeah, Krillin might have a tremendous amount of stamina, but as the fight wears on, lactic acid buildup, his ki is going to dwindle, he's got things that are going to decrease over the fight, which we're really not going to see in Spider-Man. Invulnerability. One of these two guys is relatively bulletproof. That guy's Krillin. Spider-Man, he can take some bludgeoning force. Anything that's slashing or piercing, he's done for. Krillin actually showed a fair degree of being bulletproof and taking a tremendous amount of bludgeoning force. Energy projection. Yeah, this is Krillin. Beyond the fact that Krillin just has the Destructo Disc and just regular ki attacks, he's got this at range. Versatility. This is Krillin. I'm currently spacing on the name of the move that he has, where he essentially fires a beam into the sky that explodes into hundreds of smaller beams. So he's pretty much got a move that kind of seems like a cluster bomb. So that he's going to shoot a beam into the sky, which is going to make it rain down fire everywhere. X Factor. This one I'll probably get some grief. I'm going to give the X Factor to Spider-Man. Here's why. Krillin is going to be able to defeat Spider-Man as long as this fight stays at range. Spider-Man will have the ability of being very good at hiding, being very good at mental manipulation, also being able to attach himself in almost anywhere. So some of his skills, some of his added abilities, different sorts of webbings, the Spidey sense, that's going to give him the tools he's going to need to try to lure Krillin from a distance to an in-close fight. I think that if Spider-Man can get a couple of good shots, I'm thinking this comes down to Spider-Man has a striker's chance. He has to get 1 to 2 solid shots, and he can defeat somebody like Krillin. However, he has to do enough tactics and enough moves to get Krillin from, how I would put it, if I was Krillin and I'm fighting somebody, I would be like, oh, you have no ki attacks. You have no real range against me. What was that? You shoot web? Oh, you can dodge these? Okay. And just pretty much cover the ground in small explosions. And sooner or later, all you can do is tag Spider-Man once or twice. Tag him, slow him down, another blast, knock him down, Destructo Disc, cut him in half. If Krillin gets to the point where he comes down and he tries to fight Spider-Man mano-a-mano up close, I think Spider-Man's going to have enough when it comes to the jabs he can throw out, using a little bit of webbing every now and then to just confuse Krillin just a little bit. To have him get 1 or 2 good punches on Krillin. That's what it's going to come down to. Spider-Man is going to have to entirely change the methodology of this fight from a range fight to an up-close fight. And then he's going to use every tool he's got in his bodysuit to try to get not just 2 glancing blows. There's going to need to be 2 good solid shots. 2 good I knock out Wolverine with these punches. He's going to have to hit him with enough that's going to rattle the brain on Krillin. First one's probably enough to stun him. Second one should be enough to knock him out. But beyond that, Krillin's going to go home, make his kids cry, and be like, I'm sorry, I think I just killed Spider-Man.